Hey guys, it is I, Halloween Dan, and today is a rather sad day and a rather sad video. Because guys, we cannot deny it any longer. It's November, which can mean only one thing. Halloween is over for another year.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
So sad. My horn is packed away. Believe it or not, everything is back up in the attic or tucked behind my shed. It was exhausting. And if you're anything like me, this time of year can be somewhat depressing. It's a sad, sad moment watching everything you love get packed away for another year. But before we say goodbye to Halloween 2024 for the last time, it has become somewhat of a tradition on this channel that before we do that, before we finally wave it goodbye, we kind of have a little look back. We kind of analyze it a little bit, we review it, we talk about what went right, what went wrong, etc., etc., just to give us that little Halloweeny buzz one last time before the big C finally drops. So let's do this! So, Halloween 2024. What a year. What a year. I'm going to say right off the bat that for me, personally, just me here I'm talking about, this one wasn't vintage. If you were here this time last year, you might remember that I called Halloween 2023 a vintage year where everything just seemed to go pretty well. I managed to get my hands not only on the props that I wanted, but also some rather unexpected things that I really liked and was glad to have. It just all seemed to go pretty well last year. The weather was great, etc., etc. 2024 hasn't exactly gone like that for me. It's been a very up and down roller coaster sort of year. There's been a lot of positives, but one or two negatives too. If you've been here with me through this year, you'll probably know the positives and the negatives I'm talking about. But that's what this is all about. It gives us just a little moment to remember the year that's passed. So let's start right at the start. For me, 2024 was one of those years that seemed to take off like a rocket. No sooner had I come back from my Christmas break and into January, then we were inundated with so many new releases and so many new things to talk about. We had things from Spirit, which was weird. We had so many things from Distortions. It was just one of those years that just seemed to start and never stop. I was constantly trying to keep up with all the new information and all the new props. And from time to time would drop the ball, like I'd miss things or get information wrong about things. Like when I thought, for some bizarre reason, that the 12-foot haunted tree from Home Depot had a horse head motion. I don't know what that was about. But it just seemed like one hell of a ride we were all on, and I know that me and many haunters were struggling to keep up with the almost daily releases and leaks of things. But at the same time, it was very exciting. We were seeing so many new exciting things. We saw all that lineup from Lowe's quite early on, which at the time was kind of like, wow, look at all this amazing weird stuff that I've never seen before. Nautical for some reason. Distortions and all the professional manufacturers were absolutely slaying it this year, absolutely just bringing the most mesmerizing, amazing things. Beastcraft in particular this year for me has completely blown my mind, and I am now at 100% a fan of Beastcraft. And it just felt like one amazing thing after another. Next thing, we were seeing leaked pictures of things out of Home Depot and the lineup looked amazing. Then we were seeing things from Spirit Halloween. Not quite as amazing for me, who's not into the whole clown genre thing, but it was still pretty amazing in its own right. And when it comes to things being released for the US, it just felt like one thing after another after another. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Meanwhile, here in the UK, not a lot was happening. It was pretty quiet. There was really kind of in a depressing way. We were seeing all this amazing stuff in the US, and we're like, when's it our turn, guys? Come on. We know you've got some up your sleeves. And then they didn't. No one did. I mean, I'm being a bit cruel. There were some really good, amazing things in the UK this year. We saw some cool things out of the range and one or two cool things out of Asda. And the online sellers like Bad About Horror and my new favourite, the Halloween Store UK, shout out Lewis. I have still so impressed both by your selection and the fact that I was given a little mystery box. It warmed my heart. I'm on your side. They were all killing it. They were doing a really good job of bringing really exciting things into the UK, including some of the new things out of Home Depot and Spirit and the likes from the US. But for the mainstream stores, it was a bit lackluster. We were kind of holding our breaths, waiting for something amazing to appear, and it just never did. Of course, for me, and I've already spoken about it before, the biggest blow for my Halloween this year was Costco's lineup. Every year, I wait with bated breath to see what Costco are going to bring out, and for several years now, I have never been left disappointed, except for this one. This was a disappointing year. I know there are going to be UK haunters who watch this and will go, it wasn't. There was some really good stuff. The werewolf was great. The alien was great. The scarecrow guy was great. I agree. They were good. They were okay. There was not much wrong with them. They just weren't for me. And I just was like, nah, nope, no thank you. And I think it says a lot when the best prop that came out of Costco this year was a big static prop. You know, that big static groundbreaking skeleton guy was immense in more ways than one. It was a phenomenal prop. And anyone who got hold of it, I'm very jealous of you. Very, very cool. But it was also very, very expensive for a thing that just popped out of the ground and did nothing else. And that, I think, tells you everything you need to know about the kind of Halloween the UK had when it comes to places, availability of stuff. That the best prop was a big static thing. Yeah. I'm also not going to make any friends with my next statement too, which is, although I did buy several things from the range, and the range did a great job of bringing out a great range of Halloween products this year. They really did smash it in several ways. I still think that the UK stores, the range is one of them, relies way too heavily on Sunstar. I know that here in the UK, Sunstar has its fans. There are lots of people who love a good Sunstar prop. And don't get me wrong, they have their place. I'm not down on Sunstar. There's a lot of relatively good entry-level props, but that's what they are. They're entry-level. They're not like all singing, all dancing, amazing props. They're actually quite expensive for what they are. They're not doing a great deal. And I think I bought 6 Sunstar props this year of varying sizes. 3 of them don't work anymore after one season. And it's before you say, oh, you must have let them get wet or they must have got damp. No, they stayed inside. I only put them out when I wanted to. 2 of them were broke before I'd even put them out. And not because I've been mistreating them, just because they just were rubbish. One of them, my Asda zombie guy, he still works, but not as well as he did. And I've changed the batteries and made sure he didn't get wet and etc, etc, etc. And he's still just a bit meh. And I think this is another thing that sort of fed into the slightly disappointing side of 2024 for me, is that instead of seeing a progression in the UK towards slightly better, slightly more advanced props that were not still costing an absolute fortune, the UK very much sat firmly on Sunstar and just brought us a load more Sunstar things with the same sort of phrases and the same sort of movements. And it was just a bit, I've seen this. This is the same stuff. In saying that, there is one Sunstar prop that I bought this year that I am very impressed by, and that is my 6-foot Reaper that I got from the range. It was a very cool prop. I'm very glad I bought him. He looked very good where I put him in the castle doorway. And yeah, everyone liked him and he worked very well and he's still working now. So thumbs up for the Reaper. It's just that some of the other things didn't live up to expectation, which is kind of what I've been saying about Sunstar props for a long time. Aside from all the props and all the shops and all the things that were coming out left, right and centre, this actually was a very good year in many ways for me. It's been a year where personally, on a personal level, it's been quite a tough year for my family and me. Nothing terrible's happened. It was just one of them years where we needed to get a lot of things sorted, mostly for my son Finn. And it just was one of those years where there was a lot to do, and it was a right old slog to do it. And sometimes my Halloween stuff just had to take a back seat. Family comes first, right? And so I think that has kind of added to the up and down feeling that I've had around the Halloween season of 2024. In terms of my personal haunt, and I've talked about it in several videos now, I was very pleased with how it turned out. There were a few things that stopped working. There were one or two things that broke or just weren't working as well as they could, which is always disappointing. But in general, everything looked as good as it's ever looked before. In fact, better. So many people were impressed with my castle, and I was impressed with my castle. I'm so pleased I got it looking how I wanted it to look. It sat there on my front garden looking amazing. Everyone was very impressed. The lightning effect worked just how I wanted it to. My Frankenstein didn't, and in 2025, if I get the opportunity, I will be buying a John Doe, because I think he would have been the perfect prop for that, to recreate that Frankenstein sitting up off a table. It was too damp for him to lift up properly, and he just didn't work very well. So as good as he was, and as impressed as I was that I got him working at all, unfortunately, he ended up being a static prop in the end. But he still looked really good, in fairness, in the midst of that castle scene, and he did do what I wanted him to do in some ways. Everything else looked great, though. Everyone was so impressed. And this year, my haunt as well has got so much media attention. We were on BBC Radio Stoke, who just showed up on my doorstep with a microphone in my face, and I might have freaked out a little bit.
I have seen some spooky houses so far. The scariest, and oh my goodness, I can already see inflatable purple tentacles coming from the top windows. There's two women here looking. Oh my days!
I also had to do a live on the air interview, which I'll include a really small snippet of right now because it's kind of really bad.
When do you have to start getting ready for this thing?
It's a kind of all year thing for me, to be honest. I start putting things together in about July, August time, like I build things and stuff, and then buying things in sort of late August. And I don't start putting things up until about the beginning of October. But yeah, I do all through October, basically. My house just gets slowly encrusted in Halloween stuff.
There you go, there's my 5 minutes of local fame. We were in the local newspaper, our haunt was shared hundreds of times across our local social media platforms. It was really, really good, and I'm really, really pleased with how everything went. And the result of that was that the charity we support, we raised so much more money than we've ever raised before. In fact, we doubled our total from last year. We're still counting it, so I can't give you a total actually, but it's a lot more than we've ever collected before. So thank you to anyone who watches and actually did donate, because it is a huge reason why we do our display. I mean, I do my display because I love Halloween, but getting to help a charity is also a big part of it for me. I think the most positive thing that's come out of 2024 for me, though, has actually been this and you guys and my channel. Many of you will know that this is the year where I reached 1,000 subscribers. I reached it back in like May or something, and it is a huge milestone that I'm still kind of getting over. I can't believe I got there. I can't believe I'm over 1,000 subscribers. I know it's not the biggest amount as YouTubers go, but for me, it's a huge milestone. I'm so pleased to have gotten there. And if you helped me get there, thank you so much, whether that be because you've been subscribed for a long time or because you subscribed right at that moment. Thank you. It's very much appreciated. Thanks for hanging around and watching this. In fact, boring little piece of data here. This has been my most successful year in terms of new subscribers and views. I've got more views than I've ever had before, and subscriber-wise, on average, most years before this one, I've sort of gotten about between 250 to 300 new subscribers within 12 months, which I know is kind of pathetic, but it's true. This year's outstripped that massively. I'm nearly at around about 700 new subscribers in just these last 10 or 11 months. So that's really super impressive for my channel. So if you've recently subscribed or been subscribed for a long time, thank you a million times over. It is very, very much appreciated on every single level. And it just makes me feel like what I'm doing has a purpose. Like what I'm doing, I'm not just doing it for no reason. People are engaging and liking and sharing and commenting and all that fun stuff. So thank you a million times over. It is so appreciated. You will not even know how much, what it means to me. But with all that said, with the year roughly analysed and my haunt talked about and the successes and the downsides of this year gone over, that is finally it, guys. We have nothing more to talk about. The year, sadly, is over. Like I said, all my props and animatronics have been packed away. Everything is away. The house has been cleansed of Halloweeniness, unfortunately. And just like last year, I hope no one's too upset about this, but this will be my last video for a little while.
Oh no!
Don't worry. I don't think anyone will worry, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I've not physically left the planet. I just won't be making any new videos for the next few weeks. It is so hard to make content around Christmas when you're a Halloween YouTuber. There is so little to actually talk about. And in past years, I've experimented with Christmas and stuff, but it just doesn't work. My heart's not really in it the same way as it is with Halloween. The biggest challenge for me is to stop myself from making videos, because I really do enjoy making videos and editing them and stuff. It's a big part of why I do it. But it's time, I think, just to sort of sit back now, let the Christmas YouTubers take over for a while, and I'll just chill out and relax with my family for a few weeks and come back in the new year refreshed and ready for a new Halloween season. In saying that, you might see my face pop up at some point, because Scared Dad and I are planning on doing another little final end of season podcast, kind of doing a similar thing to this, but maybe in a little bit more in depth. And yes, you might see me anyway. I've not completely vanished from the ether, but in terms of me sat here physically making these videos, this is the last one. And with all that said, guys, there is nothing else left to do but say goodbye. I hope you had a lovely Halloween. I hope it all went to plan, or as best as it could do. And I hope you have a great, whatever it is you celebrate in the next few weeks, whether it be Christmas or something else. Thank you a million times for watching. Thank you for sharing, commenting, liking, and all that jazz. Thank you just for being here. Thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Continue to keep it spooky. Bye.